What's going on, guys? Briar Rabbit here. Today we're going to be taking a look at these Corsair LL series fans. You can see them up front and in the back of my gaming PC, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty impressed with these fans overall. So the cool thing about these fans is that they light up, right? Obviously, they look pretty amazing. You can see that they have a ring of RGBs around the outside of the fan as well as in the center hub, which really gives them a cool effect. And they're also all addressable RGBs, so you can do some cool effects with the RGBs. You can see right now I kind of have this red light bouncing up and down and to the back fan as well. All of that is controllable through Corsair's IQ software, and it's a very customizable software that, if you have other Corsair products, will also control the lighting and control the performance on other products like mice, keyboards, even your power supply. So it's a pretty cool solution, and it's very customizable. And I gotta say, I like these fans quite a bit. They spin up to about 1500 RPM. They're relatively quiet. They're definitely not as loud as, say, the Corsair ML series fans, but they're not as quiet as something like a Noctua fan either. So they're kind of right in the middle, but definitely toward the quieter side. Now, everything's not exactly perfect when it comes to these fans. One of the downsides to a fan like this is just the price. To buy the 3 LL series fans you see in the front of the computer costs about $110 to $120, depending on where you're buying it. That's a lot of money for fans. To get the 140 millimeter fan that you see in the back of the computer was $35 all on its own. Now, the 140 millimeter fan doesn't even come with any of the controllers that you need to make the RGB work. The LL120 is a kit that comes with a RGB controller and also a USB controller. So the USB controller plugs into the USB header on your motherboard, and then the RGB controller plugs into that, and then all your fans plug into the RGB controller. It's a relatively complex setup, and there's a lot of wires. Once you've got it, though, it's pretty simple, and the rest of it is controlled through the software. There are a couple of notes, though, when you're installing the fans. If you want to do cool effects where the fans kind of move together as one singular unit, you don't actually install the fans so the Corsair logo is facing straight up on the back of the fan. You have to skew it off to the side, otherwise the effects won't kind of match up, which is weird. It seems like a bizarre oversight from Corsair. Most people want those logos to be straight up and down, but to make it do something like this, you have to rotate the fan to the side, or at least the logo. It'd be nice if there was some kind of control for that in the software, so you could actually set the orientation of the fan inside Corsair's software. Another thing is, obviously, there is a lot of cables going on here. Each fan has 2 cables coming off of it. One is the regular PWM cable to control the fan and power it. The other is the RGB cable that, well, controls and powers the RGB. Those each need to be plugged into Corsair's RGB controller, which then gets plugged into Corsair's USB controller, which then gets plugged in to the motherboard's USB port. So it's a lot of cabling. There's 2 extra control boxes that go inside your PC, and it can create kind of a wire mess, and you have to really be careful. If you've got like a glass panel back like this case has, you definitely want to be careful with all of that wire mess. Now, the nice thing about the Corsair fans is it comes with plenty of cabling, so you should be able to route it really easily and cleanly, kind of hide it around the nooks and crannies of your case, but it's a lot of cabling. And you know, I have 4 fans. If you have something like 8 fans or 7 fans in your PC, you know, something that gets a little more ridiculous with, you know, custom water cooling, maybe you want push-pull design on both radiators, you know, you can easily rack up the fans in a PC these days. Another thing of note is each of the RGB controllers can only control up to 6 fans. Now, the USB controller can control up to 2 RGB controllers. However, only one is included with the box in the kit, so make sure you buy a second kit or a second RGB controller if you've got more than 6 fans to install in your PC. With one USB controller, you can install up to 12 fans, which should be enough for most people, but I'm sure if you have something crazy like a Corsair 1000D, it may get even crazier after that. So, there's a lot of wiring here, but for good reason. Each one of these fans is addressable RGB, and with Corsair's programming, you can do a lot of cool stuff. So, speaking of Corsair's IQ software, let's take a look at that. Once you've got all the fans plugged in and cable managed and you download the IQ software, there's actually a lot of options that you have in this software. So first thing we're going to go ahead and do is hit settings here. We'll click on our Lighting Node Pro and we'll hit update. Our Lighting Node Pro just looks like a little black box. You actually don't see the fans in the software. It's all controlled by this little black box. You click that update button, it gives you the latest version of the software. Then you go back to home and you click on the Lighting Node Pro itself. Now, there's a bunch of cool features in here. One is this instant lighting up at the top. You can just make all of your Corsair devices one static color. So if you want everything to just be blue, your keyboard, your mouse pad, your fans, everything that you have that's Corsair, you can just make them all match one color very easily right up here. You can also do some effects in kind of the same way. So if I go to lighting channel over here, I'm going to disable that instant lighting, but I'm actually going to add an effect over here on the left and customize that effect. And you can actually hit these lighting links over here, which are more animated, right? Instead of just having a static color, you can have it do temperature. The temperature of your computer is now displayed based on a color across all your devices, your fan, your mouse, your keyboard. So you'll instantly know how hot your computer is. You can actually do a lot of cool stuff with that too. You can see right now it's set to be the temperature of my power supply. I don't really care what the temperature of my power supply is, to be honest with you, but I do care what the temperature of my processor is. So I'll go ahead and select the processor, or I can even select the graphics card, and I can actually see just visually how hot my computer is based on the color that my computer is, right? The RGB lights up to be a different color, telling me, okay, the computer's getting really hot. Maybe I need to, cool it down or turn on an air conditioner or something like that. And you can customize that quite a bit. You can set it for different temperatures to be, let's see, my graphics card probably never gets to 20 degrees. So let's set that at 50. We'll set this one to 60, and this will be 70. And that's probably a little more like what my graphics card actually runs at. So it's a pretty cool feature, and it's cool that you can grab kind of whatever different temperature sensor you want to grab. You can also do quite a bit with animation. So we're going to delete that one. We'll add a new one. And there are different animations that are kind of set up in here, and you can customize your own as well. So let's go with this heartbeat animation. So this one just turns on the lights and turns them off in kind of a simulated heartbeat. You can do random colors. You can do alternating colors, kind of customize that. You can do inward, outward, you can even customize the speed. So it's very customizable in that way. But let's say that I like this animation, but I don't like that the LEDs actually turn off. I want them to stay on all the time, but I just want the animation in addition to that. What you can do is layer the effects. So if I hit this plus button over here again, I'm going to grab this new one. I'm going to put it underneath the heartbeat. And now you can see that I still have that heartbeat, but there's also a rainbow wave happening when the heartbeat would be off. It's a little hard to see, so I'm going to change that up to be just a static color. And we'll do kind of purple there. And you can see now instead of the RGBs or the LEDs turning off, when they would turn off in the heartbeat animation, they actually turn purple. It's a really cool effect, and it allows some creativity there. You can actually select these as well and do certain things to individual LEDs. There's a lot of customizability here. And I think if you like this kind of thing, there's a lot to play with. And being able to animate it and go ahead and delete these. Being able to animate it and customize it between different Corsair devices, it's a really cool piece of software. Very intuitive. It's very easy to use. And there's a lot to it. So that's it, guys. I gotta say, I really like these fans. You know, they're really cool fans. They're pretty quiet. They blow a good amount of air at 1500 RPM. They're expensive, and there's a lot of cables to manage, and that's a bummer, but I don't feel like you're really getting ripped off. You know, compared to Noctua fan, that's going to be about $25 per fan. These are more money, but there's obviously more technology included in them as well. They're not as quiet as a Noctua fan, but they're not as loud as other fans I've had either. So they're toward the quieter side, I would say, but they look really cool. Let's be honest. That's why you're going to buy them. They just look awesome. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out some of the products mentioned in this video, there's a link, Amazon affiliate link down below. Hit that like button if you like the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.